Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We got Harrison tonight. How we doing, bud?
Good. How we doing, Nick?
Not too bad. Sean might pop on later. We're not sure. We're having some insulin pump issues. Damn diabetics.
That
But
damn diabetes.
every time. But all right, before we get going, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all of that stuff. We actually been putting out a ton of content this week because of our bracket. About the MLB records. We'll share the first round of the results in a little bit. But yeah, let's hop right to it. So, leading off, we're going to get right into the rest of the regular season awards that were announced last week. I guess we'll save the MVP stuff for the end. So, let's go. NL Manager of the Year, Buck Showalter. Any surprise there?
I was so pulling for Dave Roberts. I mean, I really, as we talked about in the last show, I really thought Dave Roberts was a shoo-in for that.
Yeah.
No, I think that of the managers he was up against, that was Bucks. That he came into a clubhouse that was utterly broken. I mean, last year they were booing the fans back and all the other silly crap they were doing,
Yeah.
and that was an absolutely broken clubhouse that he put back together. Doesn't hurt to go get Max Scherzer, but he had a pretty tall task in front of him trying to put that team back together.
The shocker to me was Thompson was actually in the voting. He finished like fifth.
Yeah, it was weird. I saw that afterwards and I was shocked.
And Melvin was on there too, I believe. I think it was Melvin and Thompson 4-5. Yep. And it was like, how in the actual hell did Dave Roberts finish ahead of those two guys?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? I can't. But out of those three, I agree. It had to have been Showalter from those three finalists.
Yeah, the only theory I think I read somewhere is that Thompson didn't get legitimate consideration because of he came in, I think it was late May. That team was not healthy, and they got healthy as the season went on and then made a run. So I think they, in a way, they're kind of discrediting what he did because of the health of the team. But that also means that they're giving Girardi more credit than he deserves because the team was not performing well.
I know it's a regular season award, but the dude took him to the World Series. I mean, other than winning it, you can't get any further.
No, and a team that really had fallen completely out of contention until about August. I mean, they were gone. People had written them off. They spent basically kind of June, July, and most of August just kind of existing out there.
Yeah, that's a joke. I can't with that.
The Dave Roberts thing kills me. I mean, the guy had the most expensive super team in baseball history. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could have found anybody in the stands that could have managed that team to 100 wins.
I'm guessing that dude doesn't even fill out the lineup card every day. You're laughing. I'm sure he's not the one. He probably has such bad penmanship that he's not even the one to put out the lineup.
I wouldn't be shocked at all. I wouldn't be shocked if Andrew Friedman handed him the lineup card every day and said, "This is what you're doing today. Just follow it."
Yep, that's crazy. So then we'll go over to the manager of the year in the AL, and it was Terry Francona. This one was, I mean, all three were deserving.
Absolutely.
When we talked about it last week, we were like, whoever wins this one, we don't really care. Like,
no, they're all deserving of it. It was not like the National League.
Right, exactly. Brandon Hyde did finish second, I believe. But it was Francona, Hyde, then Service.
Yep.
And I have no issue with that either.
No, I mean, Francona got 17 first place votes. A couple got split between the other guys. But, I mean, most of the guys on that Indians team can't buy a beer, and yet they made a run into the playoffs when really they weren't expected to be good for another couple of years. So, Terry Francona was my pick for manager of the year because of what he did. But if you had told me that Hyde had won it or Service had won it, I would have been like, great, makes sense because they all, arguably had a shot at it.
And I completely lost my train of thought there. But, yeah, I mean, the Guardians were in shape to even beat the Yankees, to be honest. They had opportunities to beat the Yankees in that series too, and just couldn't quite get there.
It competitive,
right? More than we can ask for. It was awesome.
And honestly, if you look at that Cleveland lineup and pitching rotation when the year started, the only player that you probably knew was Jose Ramirez on the offensive side and Shane Bieber on the pitching side. Nobody else knew any of these guys. No. This was not a team that was built to contend. This was a team that was getting rebuilt from the ground up, and you know, he did a hell of a job with what he had, and Hyde, another guy who they traded the two, probably the two best players on the team away from him, and they still finished just a few games out of the playoffs. So you
Right.
had two really compelling stories in the American League.
Yeah, pretty cool. We'll move over to the Cy Young, and Sandy Alcantara wins for the NL. I mean, the guy had a bajillion complete games this year. I think he had 5
5 or 6, yeah.
complete games, which is unheard of now in today's pitching.
Well, especially for a guy that throws that hard. Like those guys don't usually give you 9 innings. You get 6 or 7, and you feel really good about it.
Yeah.
But and he was just so dominant. And like we talked about, statistically, the other guys were just as good. But Alcantara's got that sizzle, that flash that gets people's attention, and he's a hell of a lot of fun to watch. And the only reason people watch Marlins baseball is for guys like him.
Yeah, and he had that stretch. I think it was like June into July where he was like flat out unhittable. He had like 2 or 3 complete games in that stretch, and it was just like, God dang, this guy is insane. And he had the ERA was like what? Wasn't it like insane? Wasn't it sub 1? I think at that point.
His ERA middle of the summer was way down there.
Yeah, it was nuts.
I mean, the guy finished with an ERA of 2.28. I mean, it's not like he finished with a high ERA, but
right.
It's just impressive. Here's a guy who's 26 years old, 6 complete games, 1 shutout, pitches 228 innings for that team.
Yeah, crazy. That 228 innings is probably the most innings we've seen in a couple of years at least.
Yeah, I mean, he threw 205 last year. I mean, the kid's a workhorse.
Hey, Corbin Burns won the Cy Young last year with what, like 157? The guy threw 70 more innings.
We were almost joking, like, did he even qualify given how little he pitched?
Right. Like, just, man, crazy. And then Justin Verlander wins the AL Cy Young unanimously. I mean,
that one's kind of hard to argue with. The guy was ridiculous.
Yeah, lights out.
And finally won his first World Series start.
Yep, he's now 1-6 lifetime.
That stat blew me away. Here's a guy who in the regular season is pretty much unhittable and has been for a long, long time, but he was 0-6 in the World Series until that win finally this year. Like, that shocked me.
And I mean, and he's married to Kate Upton. Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't hurt, Scott. You're right. I mean,
no, 1,000%.
Yeah.
But I mean, Justin Verlander is also always going up against their ace too.
Right.
So I mean, like, it is. I mean, he could go 7 and give up 1 run and lose that game, or leave with a no decision.
Yeah, his strikeouts and ERA in the playoffs are in the World Series are still really, really good. But you're right, he's losing games like 2-1, 3-2.
Yeah, insane. All right, MVP. We'll start in the NL. My boy got hosed. He actually finished 3rd in the voting, and Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt
I mean, did these people watch the same season we did? Like,
I mean, no doubt Machado was disgusting and is honestly one of the best players in the National League. I'm not taking that away from him.
No, can't even argue that point.
I mean, Nolan Arenado every single week was like 18 for 26 with 4 bombs, 8 doubles, 12 driven in. Like, every week it was player of the week. And if it wasn't him, it was Paul Goldschmidt. But
they basically just passed that award back and forth to each other all season.
Yeah. Like I said last week, I thought Goldschmidt lost it in the last month and a half. He didn't really have it. And Arenado kept it rolling. And
I think you said it best when I sent you guys a text message saying, what does Nolan Arenado have to do to get the respect he deserves to win an MVP? And your response was, I don't know, maybe pitch. That seems to work.
Right?
Because, I mean, literally, this guy has been MVP caliber for, I don't know. I mean, I can't remember the last time he wasn't MVP caliber. And the guy continually just gets passed over. And Goldschmidt was ridiculous. Through middle of August, end of August, he was your clear MVP. And then he just went into a tailspin. Yeah. Finished the season poorly, was terrible in the playoffs. I mean, he was non-existent in the playoffs. And Arenado honestly kind of carried them in September as they started to actually create some distance with the Brewers in late August, early September. That was all Arenado. Arenado carried them in April and the first half of May. He carried them in September. Goldschmidt carried the summer, and it's like everybody forgot that
Yeah,
this
and
guy's
I
that good.
mean, they finished with fairly the same amount, same stats. Both were 30 and 100 guys.
Yep.
Nolan Arenado is a platinum glove winner, for crying out loud. I don't know what the guy literally has to do. The guy's got 6 platinum gloves under his belt. He's got six 30 and 100 seasons, and he still can't get a second place finish in the MVP race.
Yep.
Like, I don't get it. I really don't. Yeah.
And I don't hate the choice of Goldschmidt. I mean, he had on in aggregate in total, he had a great season. I just feel like Arenado was what held that team together, and
1,000%.
for him to get overlooked again just doesn't make sense.
And a third place finish, like not even a second place.
Right. And Machado also had a great season, but I mean, when you look
and you can argue he definitely did carry the Padres, because Soto, Tatis going out. I mean, Soto came over and didn't really, he wasn't the player that everyone was expecting. Was he a nice fit? Like, sure, but he wasn't the power hitter they were expecting. But yeah, I don't know. I was really pulling for Arenado. I thought he deserved it out of the 3, but I mean, not to downplay Goldschmidt's season, because it was a good one. But
yeah, so Nolan Arenado finished his 3rd place this year. In 2015, he finished 8th. 16 was 5th. 17 was 4th. 18 was 3rd. 19 was 6th. Like, the guy is consistently around it, but he just doesn't. He doesn't get it. And the one thing,
30 and 100, and it's crazy.
I mean, Arenado was 1st in the NL in WAR, 2nd in slugging, 6th in batting average. Like, I mean, he was top 10 in pretty much everything, if not top 3. Player of the month in April and August. And I mean, and Goldschmidt had a great season. No, nothing. And I will give Goldschmidt credit. He spoke half of his, when they interviewed him about winning the MVP, half of his conversation was about how good Arenado is and how great a teammate he is and how he couldn't do this without him. So, I mean, at least like Goldschmidt pointed out the fact that, hey, like, this guy deserves every bit of this. But I just, maybe that's the answer. Maybe Arenado needs to make a couple of spot starts next year and he'll get MVP consideration. That seems to work.
Just enough to qualify for the Cy Young.
I'm telling you, man. Holy cow.
Oh, goodness. All right, we'll go over to the AL, and it was Aaron Judge, and it wasn't close.
No.
No. It wasn't close, and I think they got this right. I mean, listen, I get it. We've talked about this ad nauseum here on this podcast. Shohei Ohtani is the real deal. The guy is going to put up ridiculous numbers on both sides of the ball his entire career. Like, he's gonna be in the discussion every year. Aaron Judge led the MLB in 8 offensive categories, not the AL, MLB. You can't not give him the MVP. Sorry about that triple negative there, but like you
can't not give it to him.
Right. You can't never not give it to him when he didn't not deserve it.
We're good at English.
Right? But I mean, like seriously, I'm glad that it wasn't close. Like it shut a lot of people up, and I haven't seen an Ohtani post in 2 days, thank God. But,
no, it got quiet fast. Holy cow.
Yeah. And listen, like Sean keeps pointing out, is like, you can like both guys, but think one deserves it more than the other. Like, and that's what the case was this year. It was Judge's, and it wasn't even close. And I'm glad the voting showed that.
Yeah. I'm looking at the full results of the MVP voting, and some of this is actually humorous. I mean, Daniel Bard got 1 9th place vote in the National League for MVP, but so what's interesting about Judge and Ohtani, it was clearly a 2-horse race, and God bless Yordan Alvarez. That guy deserves to be MVP, but it's hard against those 2 guys. So Aaron Judge got 28 first place votes, 2 second place votes. Ohtani got the other 2 first place votes and the other 28 second place votes. So, like, literally first and second on everybody's ballot was those guys. And then Alvarez got the majority of the third place votes and a few fourth place votes, and but it wasn't close. Aaron Judge won this thing comfortably. He had a significant lead over Goldschmidt in the National League in terms of total points. So if I feel like they got this one right, I was prepared to be really mad that Ohtani was going to get it. Yeah. Thankfully, they gave it to the right guy. And again, Ohtani's season was amazing, and by the end of it, I was actually wondering if he was going to steal it.
Right. I don't know if Verlander got MVP votes.
I'm looking right now. He did. He got 2 5th, 1 6, 1 7, 5 8, 3 9, and 2 10s. He got less MVP votes than Xander Bogaerts.
Really?
Yeah, so it's on a point system based on the positions you got votes for. So in the total results in the American League were Aaron Judge, Ohtani, Alvarez, Jose Ramirez, Jose Altuve, Andres Jimenez, Julio Rodriguez, Mike Trout, Xander Bogaerts, Justin Verlander, Bo Bichette, Adley Rutschman, Luis Arraez, Rafael Devers, Kyle Tucker, Vlad Jr., Jose Abreu, Alek Manoah, Alex Bregman, Yandy Diaz, Framber Valdez, Sean Murphy, Dylan Cease.
Did you just name off the entire American League?
I feel like it. I mean, Sean Murphy got 1 10th place MVP vote.
What's the purpose of going to 10th place? Is the voting ever going to be decided by a 10th place vote?
No, it shouldn't be. But and then the National League, you'll love this. You got Paul Goldschmidt, Manny Machado, Nolan Arenado, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Austin Riley, JT Realmuto, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, Sandy Alcantara, Trey Turner, Dansby Swanson, Michael Harris, Julio Urias, Jeff McNeil, Daniel Bard, Kyle Schwarber, Edwin Diaz, and Starling Marte got 1 10th place vote.
I'm lost for words. There's no need
you look
for
at all
that.
these. You look at like who's casting these votes. Who voted for Daniel Bard in 9th in the MVP voting? Like, did he pay somebody to put his name on a ballot? Like,
Dude,
how does that happen?
He's the closer for the Colorado Rockies, and the Rockies won what 25 games this year.
Right.
So he probably saw 20 games. I mean, he was probably in more than that, but like, get out of here.
It makes me scratch my head.
I mean, he did have a decent year, but
he was good for them. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the guy was 6-4 with a 1.79 ERA and 34 saves. Like he was my fantasy closer, which also explains my team stunk. But like he was good.
Yeah,
but he was not an MVP.
No, that's crazy.
Brian. Yeah, when you actually see the total voting, it's embarrassing how many guys get their names on these ballots.
What? I guess I don't. Once you announce the finalists, like what? I just don't see the point of giving
they're announcing
10 place votes though. Like,
they're announcing the finalists based on the voting having already occurred.
Well,
so MLB already knows everybody that got a vote, and they're like, okay, these three guys are the finalists because they finished in the top 3.
Okay, well, okay, I get that, but like, why are we voting 10th place MVP? Like,
no
just
idea.
do a top 5.
I mean, hell, even a top 3 is plenty. Like,
right.
If you're not in the top 3 MVP voting, who cares?
Right.
Like, who cares?
I agree. Yeah, I was the 10th most valuable player in 2022.
Right. Like, if I'm Daniel Bard, I'm like, yeah, I got 1 9th place MVP vote. Look at me. Does that like trigger an incentive in his contract or something? Like, what's the point?
I got an inscribed pen that says I finished 9th in MVP voting in 2022.
I got a participation trophy for getting my name on the ballot.
Right. Man, it's crazy.
But I'm happy that the American League got it right.
Yeah.
Ohtani would have been deserving, but you absolutely can't compare what he did to what Judge did.
No, absolutely not. And honestly, I think I'm happy with all of the award winners this year. I mean,
yeah,
there wasn't any surprises, there wasn't any shocks. I mean, other than Goldschmidt and Arenado, I felt Arenado got snubbed, but that's just me personally. But I mean, I think all the other ones are right. You can't go against Alcantara and Verlander.
No,
can't go against Judge. NL MVP was kind of up for grabs with those 3, but Showalter and Francona for managers of the year too. Can't go against that.
I think the only result that I would have been like really furious about is Dave Roberts for manager of the year. Otherwise, I'd have been okay with about any of it.
Yeah. Who was the other NL that was? It was Roberts and
Snitker.
Oh yes, in this ring. We're just kind of
another guy who they were supposed to get to where they got to. So
yeah, crazy.
I kind of struggle giving somebody manager for the year for performing exactly like they were expected to.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right, we'll move on to fifth inning here, where we're going to talk about some of the off-season moves that have already started going around, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Teoscar Hernandez trade for Eric Swanson and a pitching prospect, Adam Mako. So the Mariners send Eric Swanson and the pitching prospect to Toronto for Teoscar Hernandez. That's a pretty solid move for the Mariners, because then the Mariners turned around and dealt Kyle Lewis to Arizona. So that freed up that spot for Teoscar Hernandez. And I don't even think that Kyle Lewis played last year. Was he hurt? He wasn't even on the playoff roster. I didn't even see him. The kid wins Rookie of the Year and then disappears.
Yeah, he was like completely MIA. And I honestly don't know what his whole situation was, because I mean he was the next big thing, and then kind of see ya.
Yeah, he had a great rookie season, and then I haven't seen him since. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like it was kind of a series of injuries. He just could not get going. So that was part of what Jerry Dipoto said, is they needed to get him a fresh start, because it's been constant, start and stop with rehab. He can't seem to get things back on track.
It's too bad. You start off your career with a Rookie of the Year, and you're like, all right, things are looking good. I'm in good shape, and then just injury after injury after injury. But
it's tough.
Yeah. Brian says, great time to be a Mariners fan. The front office is doing a good job getting butts in the seats. He's not wrong. No. And I don't think they're done. I think they're going to make a huge splash here in free agency.
They've been rumored to be talking about everybody out there. So,
yeah, I think one of those big shortstops is coming, and they'll slide J.P. Crawford to second, and the Red Sox will pick up Adam Frazier, because that's what the Red Sox do. But but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a third starter, fourth starter go there. Carlos Rondon and a big shortstop. I mean, we'll see.
I mean, you look at what this team has done the last couple of years, between drafting and promoting these players, developing these players. Then you go get Luis Castillo, kind of throw one more piece in there. Mm-hmm. Teoscar Hernandez, is kind of a swap for Kyle Lewis, because the expectation was Lewis and J-Rod were going to be your kind of dream outfield. Like that was going to be your young core that continued together. But, they were going to swap Teoscar in over there and let Kyle Lewis move on. That's going to be that's going to be an outfield that covers some serious ground.
And Hernandez is no slouch at the plate either.
And he hits a little bit, yeah. And it's and they've got a couple more holes, but some pitching depth, a shortstop, and this team is probably, if I'm the Astros, I'm at least kind of looking over my shoulder going, all right, like they're going to be legitimate.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited to see where they go. My Seattle hat's coming in the mail here soon. So
it's nice to see the Mariners finally building towards something, not just assembling random pieces and then discarding them.
Yeah, agree. All right. So let's go over the qualifying offers here. The Rangers bring back Martin Perez.
Yep.
So he accepts the qualifying offer. Jock Peterson accepts the qualifying offer for $19.5 million. You're paying Jock Peterson.
I know.
Jesus.
Well, and it makes you wonder, though, if you're Martin Perez or Jock Peterson, you must feel like you're not going to get better than that or longer than that on the market. Like, I get 19.5 is a nice chunk of change, but that's to take the 1 year and not potentially go out after a longer term. Like Martin Perez was really good this year. I can't imagine somebody's not going to offer him 3 years at $50 million or $45 million and pay him. It's not $19 million a year, but it's probably making 15-ish.
Yeah, there's plenty of teams out there that would pay for Perez. The Red Sox would be one. Hell, the Yankees would probably be in. Like
the Red Sox already did.
Yeah, right. But wouldn't surprise me to bring him back. But I mean, I don't know. I just Jock Peterson, the one is interesting to me because it's like he just keeps betting on himself and keeps winning because he's putting up
Right.
decent seasons. Like he had a decent season with the Giants this year. And I think you're right. On the open market, I don't know if he was going to get a 3-year deal at 19.5 million, you know? So I think that's him just kind of betting on himself.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to be said for the 1 year deals and continuing to prove it. But Peterson, he's 30. He made $6 million last year, so making 19 next year is a massive raise. But he, 274, 23 home runs, played 134 games. Like, I feel like he could have, maybe he gets 19 million bucks next year, but he might have given up a chance to go pick up a 4-year deal somewhere else that's going to pay him
Yeah.
15 per. Like, I don't know. I there's definitely a gamble there. I mean, but Aaron Judge did it. He took his final year as his prove it season, and he's going to get basically write his own check now. So
I mean, I get your point, but Jock Peterson isn't Aaron Judge either. Like
no,
mean,
but Judge had
understatement of
the
the
injury
century.
history working against him. Same with
You're
Peterson.
right. Yeah, true.
It's interesting to go down that path. But from what I read too, he loves it out in San Francisco. Just didn't want to leave.
Yeah. And also the Giants, Mike Yastrzemski also took the qualifying offer, so he's staying a Giant as well. I didn't have the specs on that one, but saw that he's staying for at least one more year too.
Yeah, and another guy who's good player to keep around.
Yeah.
Somebody else who accepted an offer and is going to be around town again. Your boy Ryan Brazier.
No, he didn't.
He did. Granted, his qualifying offer was a whole lot less money.
Why are we? Oh my God, I can't. Nope. I'm definitely switching teams. I can't watch another year of him on the mound.
Yeah, they tendered Ryan Brazier, and he's coming back.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
All right.
But they did not tender Franchy Cordero, so he's going to move on.
I did see that. And speaking of non-tender, the Dodgers let Cody Bellinger go as well.
Yeah, which, I mean, come on.
Right.
I saw a stat line. It might have been on MLB Network today, but his 2019 season, he's replicated, but it took him all of 2021 and 22 to match what he did in 19 when he won the MVP. Like, that guy's fall off is historic.
Yeah, I think they just found something in a hole in his swing, and the pitchers are just exploiting it. He just, I don't know. He just hasn't made the adjustment or something. Like he put up what 52 home runs as a rookie.
Oh, the guy came out of the. I mean, he came up and was. I mean, as a 21-year-old rookie, the guy hit 39 bombs.
39,
and he only played in 132 games.
Yeah, he had a 50 home run season though, didn't he?
No, 47 was his most.
47. Okay, year. So he was close, but still.
Yeah. So he starts off his career. He hits 267 with 39, 260 with 25, 305 with 47. And then he goes 239 with 12, 165 with 10, and 210 with 19. Like, what? Like, and the scary thing is the guy's only 26 years old. He's been in the league 6 years. He's only 26.
Yeah. I saw a meme the other day and it said chicken tender, non-tender, and it had Cody Bellinger's. And then the comments were like, I think I'd rather have the chicken tender hit.
Yes, totally.
It was so
he'll be a great reclamation project for somebody. Like he'll sign for an incentive-laden contract maybe and maybe figure it out. But all I can think of is that commercial he was in where they're like spoofing him about, it's Jackie Robinson Day, and he's like, well, is he pitching? And they kind of go, yeah, like his stupid laugh.
Yeah.
And I mean, the guy is definitely out there.
Yeah, but I mean, the Dodgers are freeing up some money. They have $100 million coming off the books this year.
Well, I mean, with Turner gone, left.
Well, both Turner's gone. Bellinger's money's off the books. They got $100 million free, so
yep,
they're gonna make a run at Judge, and it's gonna be.
They're gonna go spend some money.
Yeah,
but that's the team. They got some holes. They did, they did offer the qualified intenders to a lot of players, Walker Bueller and all those guys so they got a bunch of contracts to negotiate too if you're going to keep these guys like Urias and Bueller around long term. But they definitely shed some money, and I don't know what they're going to do with it, but they got plenty of guys on their roster right now that need to get new contracts.
Yeah, definitely. Anthony Rizzo back to the Yankees for 3 years, $51 million. I mean, if you're Anthony Rizzo, you're going to take that 380-foot right field fence all day long. I mean, his power numbers went through the roof when he was with New York. Like, average fly balls leaving there.
Well, and until he got, I mean, the scary part is you look at this year, he played in 130 games, hit 32 home runs. And probably 30 of those games he played at probably 70% health because he was definitely dealing with some nagging injuries. But, he hit 224 and just yanked a bunch of bombs to right field. That's what he's going to do. I mean, he's a career 265 hitter. He's not going to go light up. He's not going to go light up the stats with hits, but he's going to hit bombs, and that fits him well.
Yeah.
But another guy for the Yankees who, strikes out a fair amount. He's a 125, 150K a year guy, low batting average, a lot of home runs. They just continue to throw these guys in this lineup that, don't hit anything but bombs.
Right. Get those butts in seats. It's all people. Chicks dig the long ball.
The same reason they got Stanton, the same reason they brought friggin' Gallo there, and that was a disaster. They're trying to find those guys that can just yank fly balls to right field.
Yep, agree. The Angels make a couple moves already. Tyler Anderson signs a 3-year, $39 million contract. So pitcher.
Yeah. So there's a guy. That's the reverse of what we just talked about with Perez and Jock Peterson. He turned down the $19.65 million qualifying offer to take the 3 years and $39 million. So he got 3 years out of it for basically just double the money.
Right.
But he's got a 3-year commitment because really, it's just, this was his season. He had pretty pedestrian numbers prior to this year, so he took the long-term security over the one-time shot.
Which is smart with a pitcher of his caliber. You're not top of the rotation guy. You're middle of the road. You'll have some great starts. You'll have some really bad starts.
Yep.
So you're going to take the job security over the money for sure.
Exactly. If I can guarantee myself 3 more years that I get to play and I get $39 million coming to me, that's better than 1 year where if I go out there and suck, it's all over.
Yep. And then Gio Urshela gets traded from the Twins to the Angels. I don't know if it necessarily does anything at this point, but I mean, yeah, the Angels are making moves, so we'll see what happens there. But
I heard an interesting theory, and I don't know if there's anything to it, but apparently Gio Urshela and Carlos Correa have a pretty deep relationship, and there's some thinking that Carlos Correa is talking to the Angels and wants his buddy in town, and that's part of why they just did this. I don't know if that's just somebody with a tinfoil hat in their mom's basement coming up with ideas, but I read from multiple sources that Urshela may be what helps open the door to getting Correa to come to the Angels.
I mean, that would help. I still don't know if they come out of the AL West, though.
No.
I mean, it's a nice piece, but does it do anything for the Angels?
I don't know. I mean, if you get a healthy Anthony Rendon back and you got Carlos Correa, you got Urshela running around as a super sub, you've got, a healthy Trout, which that's kind of ironic to say that. You got, a guy like Marsh and Ward.
No, Marsh is in Philly. Marsh is in Philly.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. I forgot about that.
You have Jared Walsh.
Walsh, sorry, not Marsh. Walsh.
Yeah.
But you've got pieces. Like you may be a couple of players away from having at least a shot at the wild card spot, but
yeah,
they've done a nice job with bringing in a few young pieces. If they can get a guy like Correa in there, because all indications are the Angels are willing to spend money, which is funny because they say that every year, then they do nothing.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm a wait and see with them. Even if they get Correa, they get one of these big free agent shortstops or whatever. Like they still have to prove it to me. Like they can't just do all this move. Like they still got to put in a full season. They can't play the first 2.5 months of the season and then be like, all right, we're good. Like we're just gonna go home now.
Yeah, right. Well, that and you've got so many injury question marks on that team. Like you got Trout, although Trout, and I would take 120 games of Trout over anybody else for 162.
I just can't. You hit 40 bombs in 120 games. It's silly.
Wins a Silver Slugger as a part-time player, but
crazy.
I don't know. I feel like that's an organization that at least seems like they want to do something, but they got to go do it. And if a guy like Urshela, who ate every single meal with Correa, according to reports, if that helps get a guy to think about coming there, why not? And Urshela is not a bad piece. Guy can play a lot of positions.
And I think he has upside. Like I think he can get better. But
absolutely.
Chris Bassett and Nathan Eovaldi declined their qualifying offer, so they are FAs as well.
I'm not surprised that Eovaldi did. I think he wanted the test free agency. Bassett, I thought, was all in on the Mets.
See, I think when DeGrom was gone, Bassett's like, all right. Like now it's just Scherzer at the front of the rotation. Mets may not bring anybody in starting pitching wise. I mean, they could because Cohen said he wants to just spend. So it wouldn't surprise me.
That guy's not afraid to spend money.
No, but I don't know. Chris Bassett will sign somewhere. He'll get decent money. Someone will pay Eovaldi. But yeah. And it's going to be interesting. Everyone's talking to Jacob DeGrom too. Yankees are talking to him. Rangers are talking to him. There was another team I saw, and it's escaping me right now. But if you're how do you even put a value on Jacob DeGrom? You want to come pitch 19 innings for us this year for $43 million?
That's the thing. Like, how do you figure that out? Here's a guy in Bassett. Bassett's 33. He's been around longer than a lot of us probably think. But good numbers, 15-9, 3.42 ERA. He gave you 30 starts, pitched 180 innings. He's going to give you 6 innings every start. He's not going to blow you away, but he's going to go out there and give you enough to win. A lot of teams would go after a player like that. A guy like DeGrom. Can you afford to break the bank for a guy who may make? He's as likely to make 25 starts as he is to make 5 starts. You just don't know what you're going to get.
Right. Yeah, I just don't even know. But it will be interesting to see where that piece falls. But
I'm glad that the rumors of the Red Sox have died down because I absolutely don't want anything to do with another part-time ace.
Yeah, we have 2 number ones, and we can't even fill a number 1 spot because they're both on the shelf.
Well, the hard part is it'd be perfect like if they missed different parts of the season, so you had like one consistent person in that number 1 spot, but you got to pay for 2 people to do it.
Yeah, as long as Sale rides a stationary bike, we'll be fine. But yeah.
Well, and it's been the Dodgers are kicking the tires pretty good on DeGrom. That's the other team that's been looking at him.
Well, yeah. And they have the money to take a flyer on him, take a chance. But
yeah.
Goodness gracious.
The rumors are that DeGrom really wants to stay in New York with the Mets, but he's not willing to take less to do so. So he's out there looking to see what the market's going to be with kind of an understanding he's going to take his best deal back to the Mets and say, here's what it is.
Yeah. Smart.
That basically Cohen said, go get the best deal you can and bring it back to me.
Yeah.
And then they'll decide if they want to do it. So.
Well, we'll see. I'm interested to see where he goes. It's still early. It'll happen at the winter meetings probably or shortly after.
Yeah. If you told me that Jacob DeGrom was going to make at minimum 20 starts a season for you over the next 5 years, I'd give the guy anything he wants.
Yep. 1,000%.
And
be healthy for the playoffs.
Yeah. If you could give me 20 starts and be there in October, I'll give you whatever you want. You want $40 million a year? You want a private jet? You want the stadium named after you? I don't care. Pick it. Pick whatever you want.
Right. We'll have to change the naming rights in 2 years anyway. So.
Right.
Yeah. Patrice Bergeron just got his 1,000th point.
I love Patrice Bergeron. He's such
That is it.
a good dude.
Awesome. And then the last thing I have for hot stove stuff is the rumors are Jose Abreu and the San Diego Padres are kicking the tires a little bit here. I don't know. Is he's probably just ring chasing at this point, I would guess. Jose Abreu's older.
I have to believe that he's tired of just like consistently, just missing the playoffs year after year after year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the guy, he's 35, almost 36 years old. Like he's probably looking for 2 or 3 more years, and that's probably all he's got. The guy's giving you, really good production. Guy won an MVP in 2020.
Yeah. Dude, I won an MVP in 2020. But still, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, it would be an interesting fit in San Diego, I think. It'd be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine, you've got a lineup that's got, you've got Soto, Machado, Tatis, because assuming he actually comes back.
Right, he comes back after 35 games, I think.
Yeah, he's back, and I want to say like in May. You could have Soto, Machado, Tatis. You could throw a guy like Abreu in the mix. Josh Bell is gone. All indications are he's not coming back to San Diego. He's going to go elsewhere. But that could be some serious. You could be 2 through 6 or 1 through 5 with a pretty strong set of hitters there.
Right. Yeah, definitely. It'll be, I mean, I don't know where else he would go that needs an aging first baseman, if that makes sense.
Well, what I find interesting is that all of a sudden in the last couple of days, the Astros are in on Abreu. They're in on Judge. Mm-hmm. It's like, where are you going to put them? Like, you don't have holes to put these guys in. I mean, I get that the Astros are thinking that, Yuli Gurriel is done-ish, and they're moving on. So you're going to look for a first baseman, but, that makes sense for Abreu. But where are you going to put Judge?
Put him at first.
He's just a wicked big target. But, like, you got a pretty sound group there. You just won a World Series.
Dude, it's just Alvarez and Judge back to back. Talk about freaking
Could you imagine?
No, I can't imagine.
Altuve and Bregman setting the table for friggin' Alvarez and Judge. That's fair. It's just not fair, man.
You're gonna get a run, at least one run every time around the lineup.
Yeah, you're gonna be winning 1-0 at the end of every inning, every first inning. Like, you have to be. There's no way you're gonna go 1, 2, 3 through that group.
Yeah, unreal.
Nuts.
All right. Well, shortstops still haven't moved yet. I'm guessing those guys are going to start moving around January, would be my guess. After Christmas, after New Year's, and then shortstops will start to fall. If this Angel stuff is true, Correa could be the first to move, and he's going to set the market. And then, which I think he should, right? I mean, he's a free agent last year. He should be the one that sets the market this year. And then teams are going to go nuts for the other 3, like, right away. Because, I mean, I haven't even heard numbers thrown around for the other 3. I just heard that, we've been talking to Trey Turner. Well, who in their right mind wouldn't? Like, I mean, other than the Astros, every team needs a shortstop.
Yeah, this is like the whole prom date thing. Like, the teams are going to talk to the prettiest girl first, and they're going to keep working their way down the list. And what'll be interesting though is, like, which shortstop is the first to say, "Okay, I'll sign." Like, I will be the one that starts it, because clearly Turner and Correa don't want to.
Right?
Because why would they? They want to see what the market is and try to use that as the benchmark. But is it going to be Swanson that signs first? Is it going to be Bogaerts that signs first? Like, somebody's got to sign first to start this kind of tidal wave of action. Who's it going to be?
I don't know. Either someone's going to come in and just blow the doors off Trey Turner and he signs, or Correa takes the first deal with the Angels and everybody else just dominoes after that. But it will be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be, and I think once you see one of them sign, you're going to see pretty quickly the other 2 or 3 sign.
Yeah. All right. We're going to move on to our records bracket here. If you guys have been paying attention to the page, we've actually had pretty decent response and votes and stuff. So it's been pretty cool. So I put out a matchup each day. A Saturday I put up 2 just to make it even so we get the first round done this week. But first question was Nolan Ryan's 7 no-hitters against Nolan Ryan's 783 strikeouts, and the no-hitters won by a landslide. It was 11-1 was the final tally there.
Holy cow. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I voted for the no-hitters because I just think it's a cool record, but that's it's amazing that it was such a landslide.
I mean, 383 strikeouts in a season is crazy.
Well, my immediate reaction was that's the better record because it showed how dominant you were for, 30 starts or however many that was. But then to be able to say like I actually no hit Major League Baseball teams 7 different
times
is also a pretty epic flex.
Yeah. This next one was actually a landslide too, and it was actually one of the toughest matchups, I thought. Oh, I just got to update Judge's meeting with the Giants tomorrow.
Nice. And so it begins.
Yep. Joey DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak against Barry Bonds' single-season home run record, and DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak wins 12-4. So,
yeah,
I thought that one would be a little bit closer, but I mean, the 56-game hitting streak is crazy.
That is a level of consistent greatness that it still blows my mind to think that literally for a third of a season, a little bit more than a third of a season, you got a hit in every single game. Like it's hard enough to get one hit in a Major League Baseball game, but to get at least one hit for 56 straight games is mind-boggling.
Right. Crazy. This next one was the tightest one. Ricky Henderson's 130 stolen base season against Ichiro's 256 hit season. Ichiro wins 9-8.
Wow.
So really, really close. 9-8 Ichiro there.
Wow.
I mean,
I would have thought the hits would have won that a little more comfortably than that.
I mean, 130 bases in a season is not. Every time you're on base, you're like, yeah, I'm going to take second. Yeah, I'm going to take third. Am I going to take home this time? Nah, I'll let somebody drive me in.
What's the scary thing? Like in 162 games, the guy stole 130 bases. That's damn near won a game. Like he was always stealing something.
Insane. Crazy.
And now you can't. Now nobody steals bases like at all.
Right. That's a record. What is it? I think it was like somebody. The current stolen base career leader in MLB today could steal 6 bases consecutively for the next 4 years and still not touch Henderson or something like that. It was some mind-boggling stat. I can't even remember what it was, but
yeah,
no one can touch him.
In Major League Baseball this year, the Major League leader in stolen bases was John Birdie of the Marlins. He stole 41 bases.
Yeah. Henderson at 130.
Yeah, there were 6 guys with more than 30 stolen bases.
Insane.
It just doesn't happen anymore.
No. Then the next matchup we had Barry Bonds' career home runs against Greg Maddux 18 Gold Gloves, and Barry Bonds wins 10-1 there, kind of a landslide. Pretty insane there. Then next one we have Nolan Ryan career Ks against Ty Cobb's 366 career batting average, and Ty Cobb moves on with a 7-3 victory there.
Yep.
That
batting average is crazy.
It's crazy, but so is 5,700 and something strikeouts.
I know. It's so hard to pick some of these.
Brian he says a point. He says the leadoff home run record would be fun to have too. That's the thing is we could do this bracket again with 16 more records.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? We could do this pretty much all off season if we wanted to.
Well,
But
and we talked about, do you put Cal Ripken Jr.'s games played streak
right,
in there?
that
Like,
one's not even on here.
we could literally come up with, we could do like a bracket of 64 and go down like every record there is. Like, there's a lot.
There is. And Nolan Ryan's got like 60 of them. But
right. On the pitching side, it has to do with strikeouts. Nolan Ryan has it.
Right. Most career walks, most career hits batsmen. Like it just goes on and on. Ty Cobb wins 7-3 there. Now the next one, Ricky Henderson's career stolen bases against.
So go back. So Ty Cobb beat, was it Bonds' all-time home run record?
No, Nolan Ryan's.
Oh, Nolan Ryan. Okay.
Case.
No, never mind.
So then the next matchup was Ricky Henderson's career stolen bases against Francisco Rodriguez, single save record that was 62, I think 62, it was.
Yep.
But Ricky Henderson wins that one 12-5. So
saves to me are such an overrated stat. Like they just are.
They are, but to still collect 62 of them in a season for, was it the Mariners or was it he did it for the Angels that year?
That was the year the Angels won like damn near 100 games, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But again, like you look at it as, this team wins 80, 90, 100 games. Like there's potential for a lot of save opportunities there. 62, cool. I don't know. I just feel like the save is, although you look at the Red Sox team this year and the save was a highly underrated stat with that team. So,
they were never in position to.
Maybe I'm talking to both sides of my mouth on that one, but.
Well, I'll take that back. The Red Sox were in position to save games, and they never could.
They blew like 28 out of 35 saves, like in some insane number. I forget what it was.
So here, this next matchup was the battle of the RBI matchups. Hack Wilson's 191 RBIs against Hank Aaron's 2,287 career RBIs. And Hank Aaron wins that one 7-3. I mean, I think Brian commented on one of our posts this week, and he's like to have a single season like that dominant is nuts, right? I mean, like,
it's insane.
191 RBIs. It's just like crazy. But yeah, insane. And then our last matchup, this was a close one too. Pete Rose career hits against Cy Young's wins. So Pete Rose wins that one 7-5. So that was a fairly close vote. But
I'm actually closer than I might have thought.
Yeah. I mean, Cy Young's 511. I made the point about Ichiro. If Ichiro was in America for his entire pro career, he possibly comes close to Pete Rose's record, I think. Yeah. He has over 4,000 professional hits. And if he would have played all in the MLB, which I know it's the F game but I mean, he could have come close to Pete Rose's record, I think.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen Ichiro play his whole career in the States just to see what he could have done. Because what's incredible is what he did do in the time he was here.
Yeah. Cobb, I think, had over 4,000 too. I think that's who Pete Rose overcame. So yeah.
Yeah. So there's two guys with more than 4,000 hits: Pete Rose at 4,256 and Ty Cobb at 4,189.
Yeah.
And then after that, you drop down to Hank Aaron at 3,771. Pretty big drop off between those guys.
Yeah. And Hank Aaron played for like 30 years.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Back in the day, in Cy Young's day, there was no middle reliever, long reliever, setup guy, and closer. Like you were all of those things.
Cy Young threw 200 pitches a game and then threw 200 more the next day.
Yeah, he pitched like every second and third day. Like it's
like insane.
Although I would love to know, how hard did these guys really throw back in the early 1900s? Like people are saying Walter Johnson threw 100 miles an hour. I'm saying there's no way with the mechanics we've seen on video that guy threw probably more harder than like 82. Like there's no way those guys threw that hard. Maybe they did.
With a sock. I mean, they're practically hitting a sock too. You can't throw a sock over 90 miles an hour. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't feel like there's any way these guys. I feel like these guys are pitching like we would like throw to our kids in the backyard. Like it's easy to throw 200 pitches when you're pitching basically like at a batting practice speed, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. There's zero chance Cy Young was throwing 200 pitches a game and then going around and throwing 200 pitches the next day, and without doing it at BP speed. You know what I mean? Like I could throw probably 200 back in my day when I was coaching a lot and my arm was in shape. I'd probably throw 200 times a day. You know what I mean? My players come in for 25 swings and they do that 2 rotations. Like I'm probably throwing 200 pitches a day and feeling okay the next day, but not if you're throwing 90 miles an hour plus. There's zero chance.
No,
Zero
like
chance.
I'm reading an article right here that, apparently Cy Young went to the Remington test range and they clocked him at 93 miles an hour. There's no way that guy was throwing 90 plus. He was probably throwing mid 80s. Maybe that one time he threw as hard as he could and got it into the 90s, but there's no way these guys were throwing as many pitches as they did at that velocity because his arm would have fallen off.
Even if you're throwing mid 80s, there's no way you can throw mid 80s consistently 200 times a day and then turn around and do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, just it doesn't
Your
make sense.
arm would be hanging.
The human body was not designed to throw overhand that many times without serious injury.
Especially with like the science they have today, and we can't replicate that. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no.
There's zero chance.
Not buying it.
Yeah. All right. So next round, I'll release the first one tomorrow, which will be an interesting one. Nolan Ryan's 7 no-hitters against Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak. Then we will have...
Man, that one hurts.
Yep.
Hurts to pick one of those.
Then we'll have Ichiro's 256 hits against Barry Bonds' career home runs. We'll have Ty Cobb's career batting average against Ricky Henderson's career stolen bases. Then we'll have Hank Aaron's career RBIs against Pete Rose's career hits. Interesting enough, there's only the one, you could argue 2 single season stats still on the bracket. All the single season stats got knocked off, except for Ichiro's hits and then DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I think there's an argument that some of these single season stats might have just been somebody who had like a absolutely bananas season. Because like, not to pick on our buddy Hack Wilson, but the guy, I mean, his career RBIs were 109, 129, 120, 159, 190, 161, 123, 54, 30, 27. He's out of baseball. Like, he had a good run, but he was consistently like 120-ish, and then all of a sudden he's like 151, 191, and then completely fell off, 61 the next year.
And RBIs are like your ultimate team stat, right? If you don't have guys on base in front of you, you're not driving them in. But
yeah, what's amazing is the year he drove in 100, he had 56 home runs, drove in 191, and didn't even get MVP consideration, if I'm reading this right. So,
okay,
what's a guy got to do, man?
So pitch. So like, I mean, seriously, the one stat that blew me away that I saw this week, I think we mentioned it last week, was Mike Trout has had 2 40 home run seasons, and both of those seasons he was under 90 RBIs.
Oh yeah, because there's nobody on base in front of him.
That is nuts. Right. The point is, what record do you want to have? Yeah. I totally get that. But I mean, some of the single season records are crazy.
They are.
I don't know. The career ones, there's some career ones that'll never be touched.
Yeah, I love that prolonged greatness where like I did this so well for such a long time. And Brian makes a good point. Ricky Henderson spent the second half of his career basically bouncing around team to team. I mean, he didn't have a home. After his athletic years, he was kind of all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get also Brian's point when he was like, how fun is that season? Like, I can't imagine being like Aaron Judge this year. You're at the highest level. You are just completely locked in the entire 162 games. It's the season where the manager's like, I'm going to give you a night off. And you're like, the hell you are.
Yeah, like, right. I don't think so.
Dude, I just went 5 for 3 last night. Like, you're putting me back in the lineup tonight.
Yeah, I don't care.
Like,
I'm not sure who you think you are, but I'm determining when I come out of the game, and today's not it.
yeah, I mean,
But
yeah,
it's
I mean,
it's
I
it's
get
so
that, but
true. I mean, like when you're at that level, when you're like that unconsciously good, it is fun. Everything slows down. The game is easy. It's stress free. You're just hitting dingers and listening to 50,000 people scream your name. Like, how good is that?
yeah, nuts. But I mean, some of these career thing, like Ricky's career stolen bases never touched. Cy Young wins. I know it. I know he lost that round, but that will never be touched.
Yep.
511 wins. Like, no. The career shutouts by Walter Johnson was like what 112, I think it was. Never
Yeah,
be
that's
touched.
no.
It's
I mean,
just
Sandy Alcantara led baseball with 6.
no one shutout.
Oh,
He
sorry,
had
that's right.
six
That's right. That was
complete
the complete
games.
games. That was shutouts. Yeah, never
Yeah,
mind.
yeah,
Never mind.
but still, dude.
Yeah,
But still, it's nuts. It's
that's
insane.
right. Oh god, yeah. That's
But
never in a
yeah,
million years.
so I'll put out next rounds starting tomorrow, and we'll vote on those, and we'll see which ones prevail next week. But yeah, it'll be exciting. All right, rounding third question. I didn't put it out because I was too busy putting out all the bracket questions this week. But we did come up with what is the best ballpark, best non-Fenway ballpark? I mean,
Yeah,
most
we
of the
can't be
people
homers.
most of the people that listen to this podcast are, Boston, New England area
Oh,
people. We do have other fans, I know, but
and let's be serious for a minute here. Like, it's the nostalgia of Fenway. Fenway sucks.
the
Like, it is.
concourse is a dump. Like,
The
yeah,
concourse sucks.
absolutely.
The seats are terrible. They're small. They half of them face the wrong direction. Like, the aisles are narrow. The bathrooms are terrible. Like, the ballpark is awful.
I
But
can't
it's
even
the
fit my
nostalgia.
femurs. I can't fit my femurs between the seats. Like, my thighs are too long to sit in the
Oh yeah.
seats behind home plate.
Yep.
I have to like turn my feet sideways and slide them underneath the seat in front of me in order to fit my knees and femurs in between the
Yeah,
seats.
like I can't sit straight on any one of those seats. My knees are in the back of the seat.
It's insane.
But I mean, the ballpark is awful, but it's the nostalgia of Fenway.
1,000%. And that first time you walk up the ramp and see Fenway for the first time, and you see the monster, and you're like,
Yeah, it's different.
like, God dang, this is nuts.
It's just different.
God, as you know, my bucket list is to try to get to all the Major League Baseball parks. I've been to a handful. Man, it's really hard for me. I've heard a lot of people say Camden Yards is like
I feel like
way up
everybody
there.
says Camden.
I have not been there. We should definitely plan a trip there this summer.
Camden is unbelievably nice. Like it is, but it's now at the point where it's actually starting to be. It's now a little bit older than some of the newer parks, and it's not even the most modern. But
Yeah.
Camden is so nice.
Man,
And I hate to say it, but like Tampa Bay might be one of the worst playing surfaces and domes there is. But like the seats are crazy comfortable and big. The amenities of the ballpark are actually pretty good. It's just that the field sucks because
yeah.
it's this terrible turf and this half thought out dome.
If you hit it off the third rafter, it's an out. But if you hit it off the second one,
God.
it's a live ball. You can play it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
Wiffle
embarrassing.
ball
That's how
rules.
it's like exactly. It's like playing in your backyard. If you hit that branch, it counts for this, and it's awful.
Yeah.
But like the hard part is like when you come from Fenway, all these other places have all the amenities that are way better.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much.
I went to Marlins Park with my buddy Steve and buddy Mark,
Mhm.
and because we were in Fort Myers, and we took the 2-hour trip to Miami just because we'd never been to Miami, and
Yeah.
we go there and we go up to the ticket window, the game of, and we're like, "Hey, what's the closest you can get us for $20?" And they're like, "Do you want to sit behind the first base dugout?" And I go, "I'm sorry, what?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, do you want to sit behind the dugout?" And I go, "How many rows up?" And they're like, "Behind the dugout."
Like on it.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And they're like, why? Where are you? I was like, we're from Boston. Like $20 doesn't even get you on the tee. Like,
I can't even park for $20. I mean, my God.
No, it's crazy. So, and other than that, like stupid animated like Marlin thing they had when they took it out finally because that thing was
stupid.
Stupid. The ballpark itself was nuts. Everybody goes up the escalator behind home plate, and then it's just one level concourse. You go down, you go up. Like it was really
just
beautiful
super
inside.
simple.
Yeah, it was really nice. Been to Nationals Park, pretty sweet, but
there's nights in Miami where $20 might get you in the dugout. Forget about behind it.
yeah, right. Oh man. And the Guardian, like Progressive Field was up there for me, and I don't know if it's just because it's the dollar hot dogs that won me over, but I mean, Progressive was pretty nice. The outside of Progressive was nice too. And the Great American Ballpark was pretty nice. The Reds, Enron. Oh, Minute Maid
I
Park.
say Minute Maid Park. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Like,
I think you mean Minute Maid Park. When all those guys from Enron went to prison, they changed the name.
yeah, they're like, we should probably. But I've
I've
heard
never been to
Houston's
Safeco,
nice.
but I've heard so many people say it's amazing.
Yeah, I've heard Minute Maid Park is too. Also, I've heard Chase Field in Arizona is like it's climate controlled.
Yeah.
It's just and it's gorgeous in there.
Yeah, I would say a couple of ballparks that I really love are Coors Field and PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Those are both really nice.
It's on my list.
PNC is actually surprisingly small. It's like less than 40,000 seats. And the outfield, like there's no outfield grandstands, as you can see. Like there's that little center field covered area. There's the right field elevated spot. Then you're in the river.
Right.
There's really no outfield seating there. And that's why it is so small in terms of seat count. But I don't love Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is kind of a tough city to be in, but that park is beautiful, built right onto the river. And then Coors Field is also cool because it's surrounded by everything. Like you come out of the cool thing about Coors Field is when you come out, like everybody's going to like the bars and restaurants.
Yeah.
It's just the game, all the action continues.
I went to a game for $4 there. We sat up in the rock pile, up in the center field bleachers.
Yeah.
$4. We lasted about 3 innings, dude, because it was like right in the sun. We're like, no. But I've been to 3 ball games there because my buddy Steve used to live in Denver, and Coors is awesome.
It's such a cool field, and it's such a cool experience too because they do a nice job of actually kind of like keeping it lively because the team's not been good.
Yeah, and they have the row of purple seats that go around the top of the upper deck, which marks exactly a mile above sea level, which is kind of cool.
But. Yeah, Coors is fun. I sat probably 10 rows behind the dugout. I think I spent maybe $10 on the tickets years and years ago, and it was it's a lot of fun. Denver's just a cool spot. It's just a fun place to be.
Yeah, my baseball trip this year, I went, like I said, Cincinnati, Cleveland. Great American Ballpark was actually pretty sweet because the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame is right there. And during the rain delay, we got free admission to it. So I got to walk in there and do it. So, and it was pretty nice. It was pretty nice setup. But.
A lot of history there. Too bad the team has been so bad for so long, but there's a lot of good history in Cincinnati.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm probably throw that question out since we only have, a few of the matchups this week. I'll probably put that question out tomorrow too and see what other people think was the best ballpark. But
we should definitely plan like a rounding third Camden Yards weekend and invite anybody that listens too. Meet us down there. We'll just catch a game and
Camden
maybe
Nationals
catch a weekend.
Right? We can get it right. So the Orioles and Nationals right there. I still need Philly and Pittsburgh, so they're on my trip too. But
that's an easy one to get to.
Yeah.
And the cool thing with Camden Yards for all of us up here in kind of Maine, New Hampshire is it's a super easy flight down to Baltimore, Southwest, right out of Portland, direct every day.
Yep. So yeah, we'll get on that for sure.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
All right. Heading home, a couple things to tie up here. The Mets are saying that they are interested in Justin Verlander and I don't know his first name, but Senga from Japan.
Oh yeah, I've seen that a lot lately.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are interested in him. Red Sox are in the mix for him, I've heard. But yeah. So I mean, Mets might lose Chris Bassett and Jacob deGrom, but they're gonna, Justin Verlander reunites with Max Scherzer. Shocker there.
That would be interesting.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Do you think realistically Justin Verlander's considering an offer from anybody but Houston?
Yeah, I think so. someone's gonna pay for him.
I mean, somebody absolutely. I feel like this is one of those like, you know, I'm coming back to Houston, but I'm going to pretend like I'm a free agent for a little while thing. But like, could you see him going somewhere else? If he got blown away by an offer from the New York Mets or the Dodgers, does he show up there?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I think so. I mean, why not? He's got what, 2-3 years left, maybe tops. I mean, he's got a brand new arm. Like they just surgically repaired his arm. So I mean, I don't know. Like,
I mean, Verlander's 39. I mean, he's going to be 40 before the season starts.
Oh God! So he's going on a 1 or 2 year deal.
Yeah, he's probably going to be like 1 year at a time going forward. But the guy was 18-4 with a 1.75 ERA at the age of 39. Like, he's gotten better with time.
Yeah, crazy. I don't know.
I mean, he was good in Detroit. Don't get me wrong. Like, he had that one season, he was like 24-5. But you know, freaking 18-4 with a 1.75 ERA. Guy makes 28 starts at 39 years old. I mean, yeah. He's got, you know, I don't think he's going to be Tom Brady playing until he's 50, but
right.
But he probably actually wants to stay married to Kate Upton too, though. So.
Well, Kate Upton's in his corner. She said he can play for as long as he wants. You know.
I know, like, it's because she wants him to leave the money and get out of the house.
Yep, exactly. Bryce Harper's having elbow surgery, but not necessarily Tommy John. So at least that was the last report I saw. I don't know if it's Tommy John or not, but it was some UCL repair, but I don't think it was like a full tear or something like that. But I did see that he was going in elbow surgery.
Yeah, it is UCL surgery. There's absolutely no timeline for it. It's going to depend on how the surgery goes and to what extent there's you know, kind of the damage to it. But it's kind of interesting to think that here's a guy who had that run in the playoffs, and he had a trash elbow the whole time.
Right.
Like, imagine if he was healthy the whole time.
Yeah. Last two things. Minnesota Twins dropped their new uniforms.
Yeah.
Pretty classic. They're kind of like the Twins. They went back to the Twins cursive. That's kind of like the early 90s, like Kirby Puckett years, but without the pinstripes. And all they did was on the hats was change, like they thinned out the TC a little bit.
Yeah.
Like there's
like
not
took some of like the classic script off of it. It was weird.
Yeah, they just stretched it out a little bit. But then they added the Minnesota with the North Star. And the M really looks like the Marlins M when the Marlins had that orange uniform.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty much that same M. They're not bad. I don't mind them. You know, like I'm glad they didn't just completely change everything. Like they kept
I appreciate the fact they didn't create like those San Diego Padres Taco Bell uniforms.
Right.
Like I was afraid they were gonna do something obnoxious. I don't hate the uniforms. I was a little bit underwhelmed by what they did. They just basically took what they already had and, you know, took some of the old scripting and stuff off of it and made it look a little bit more modern. So I on one hand, I find it kind of underwhelming, but at the same time, like they took something classic, kind of modernized it and didn't screw it up. So maybe that is a win.
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of like the Angels City Connect uniforms where they kind of like made it look old school, but it wasn't old school.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's kind of how I felt about those. But and then the last thing I have tonight, I don't know if Harrison's got any news, but Olivia Pichardo for Brown University is the first active female ever on a Division I roster, and is playing for Brown. So that's pretty cool. It's cool to see, you know, like we've seen the Monet Davises in, you know, Little League at that level of baseball, and you really don't hear about women, you know, higher than that. And then now we have a Division I women baseball player on the active roster. So definitely some history. Thought that was pretty cool. But yeah.
I've got one item. So down in the Venezuelan league, there was a big home run hit in the game, and Asdrubal Cabrera, who we remember from the Indians and a bunch of other teams,
Yeah.
actually basically right hooks the guy as he's going around the bases and dumps him after he hits this home run. It's it's only in the Venezuelan league does this kind of crazy stuff happen.
MLB slugfest like that game.
Exactly. I'll put a
good.
link to it. But yeah, he snuffs this guy after he hits a home run. You know, there's nothing more exciting than a little
like, was it that Texas pitcher that like laid out the guy going around third base after
he sprints at him and wipes him out.
Yeah, just absolutely.
Was that TCU? Was that who
yeah,
that was?
Something like that. Just absolutely murders.
Oh my god,
on third.
So good. You know, another former major leaguer who goes somewhere else and like falls apart.
Oh, goodness gracious. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, that's all we got tonight. Just keep your eye out for the bracket questions. I'll be putting those out. I'll put out the rounding third question. And then just keep your ears out for free agent stuff. There's going to be more to drop this week, I'm sure. More trades and stuff like that. So
yeah, and keep in mind the MLB winter meetings are
December 9th. 8th, 9th?
Let's see. They're in December 4th through the 7th, and they're in San Diego.
They're in San Diego. You're usually in Florida, I thought.
I know.
I didn't know they realized move those around.
San Diego Marriott Marquis.
Cool.
So yeah, December 4th through December 7th. So a couple weeks out, that's when a lot of stuff seems to kick off. So
yeah. All right. Sounds good. So yeah, just remember to like, subscribe, interact with us, and we will see y'all next Monday at 8 p.m.